Now let's take a look at ESXi version 4. ESXi version 4 is a 64-bit hypervisor just like esx4 and has pretty much all the same characteristics, except that ESXi has a smaller footprint than ESX version 4, and ESXi also does not have a service console. So you will not be able to install third-party software like you would with ESX in the service console. Now let's install ESXi. When you boot up to your media, select ESXi installer and hit enter. Now on the first screen, you're going to want to hit enter to install. Then you want to accept the license agreement. You're going to choose the disk partition that you want to install on. Hit enter. And then confirm the install by hitting F11. And that's all to it. Once you're done, hit enter to reboot. Now once the system has rebooted, you'll see that it goes into this management screen. To customize the system, you hit F2. Once you hit F2, one of the first things you're going to want to configure is your password. The next option is configure lockdown mode. This can be configured once you connect into Virtual Center. If you enable lockdown mode from the console, you will not be able to connect to it remotely. Then configure management network. This is where we'll configure the IP address for the service console or the management network. Remember, there is no service console for ESXi. So once you're in the management network configuration, you can see which NIC we're using and its MAC address. You can set any VLAN options. We can also change the IP address, subnet mask, and default gateway. Any IPv6 configuration, DNS, and custom DNS suffix. So configuring the IP address, you'll notice by default the NIC is set to DHCP, and if you're on a network that has DHCP enabled, when it reboots from the install, you will receive an IP address and it will configure itself. Preferred is to manually set the IP address, which is what we're going to do now. Then we'll configure the DNS. Make sure you put in the appropriate DNS servers for your primary and alternate DNS servers. And we'll also configure the host name. Be sure to put the fully qualified host name in this location. This can also be configured with the vSphere client. Click OK or Enter. Change any mistakes. See, I added an extra dot. Now we'll change the DNS suffix. Hit Enter. Hit Escape to get out of the config management network. We'll confirm the changes. Different options. You can restart the management network. You can test the management network. You can disable the management network. Configure keyboard settings. View support information. View system logs. Restart your management agents. Reset the system config back to its default setting. And remove any custom extensions. From here, we're done. And we can now manually create our DNS record for this ESXi host.